Welcome to Boosting Student Ownership and Accountability with BlazeVIEW Gradebook. I'm Britt Bugbee, an instructional designer with the Center for E-Learning. In this video series, we are exploring the BlazeVIEW Grades feature and how to best use this feature and related tools to help students succeed. In video 2B, we will create a weighted gradebook and explore the methods you will use to develop that gradebook. By the end of this video, you will be able to explain the advantages of a weighted gradebook, use the setup wizard to create a weighted gradebook, demonstrate category and grade item creation, and compare grade item creation method purposes. Let's review the weighted gradebook. In a weighted gradebook, assessments are categorized by topic, module, criteria, or assessment type. Categories are assigned a weight, which calculates to the total percentage for the final grade. You can see how some of the advantages are reflected in the included image. You could also assign a varied amount of points to the individual assignments as well, which would then reflect within the categories. Let's go to BlazeVIEW and look at how to create a weighted gradebook, starting with the Setup Wizard. From our home page, click Assessments on the navbar and select Grades. Click the Setup Wizard tab, and on this first page, scroll down and click the Start button. Step 1, you'll choose your grading system. In this case, we will choose Weighted. Each one gives you an example of what that system is. If you ever need to get help on an item, click the question mark icon next to it, and a pop-up window will open with more information. Click OK. At the bottom, click Continue. Step 2, Final Grade Release. You can choose Calculated Final Grade or Adjusted Final Grade. I like Adjusted. And then you can check whether or not you want to automatically release the final grades once they're created. Click Continue to the next step. You can decide whether grade calculations will leave ungraded items as a 0 or whether they'll be dropped. Click Auto Update if you want to keep those updated. Click Continue. Our organization uses a default percentage scheme. Generally, we just leave this as is. Click Continue. Manage your view display. So for your gradebook, the number of decimal places that you will display, I usually like to keep it at 2. And then Continue. Step 6 is a big one. This is the student view. So this is what students will view when they look at their grades. Do I want them to see the symbol that's associated with a grade, a color that tells them red, green, or yellow, how they're doing? I've decided I like the color. And for decimals displayed, you can choose how many decimal places you want the students to see. This is not going to show the same if you've chosen 2. I like my students to see an even number. The number of characters to display for text items, there's a default. You can change that. And then do you want to display the final grade calculation to users? Again, click the question mark icon if you have any questions. Click Continue when you've made your selections. Step 7 will give you the summary of what you've selected. If you're happy with everything, click Finish. If you see anything you want to change, you can go back steps. We're done, so we're going to click Finish. And it's saved. So let's review. Pause this video and practice going over these steps using the Setup Wizard to create a weighted gradebook in either your sandbox or a course. Continue when you've done so. If you've had any difficulty, Please review this section of the video before moving on. Now let's continue in BlazeVIEW and explore how and why we create categories. To create categories, let's go from our gradebook over to Manage Grades. In Manage Grades, you'll see the list of categories and grade items. Categories, you'll notice, have a blue shade. Grade items have a white shade. So for this, we want to create a new category. So you click the New button and Category. Our new category is going to be for our discussions. We don't have one for that, so name it Discussions, remembering our naming consistency. The weight, because we're in a weighted gradebook, we're going to make our discussions worth 15%. You can manually assign weight to items in the category. You can distribute them by points, or you can distribute the weight evenly across all items. All of our discussions will be even. We're not going to drop any of those, so we'll leave that there. Then you have other display options. We're happy with it. The next tab is restrictions. I would not, for grade items and categories, use the restrictions tab. There are certain conditions, but it can affect how your students see their items in the gradebook, and sometimes you may accidentally hide something and forget to unhide it that the student needs to see. So I generally would avoid setting restrictions on gradebook items except for a special case that I will address. So when this is finished, you'll click Save and Close. And if you scroll down, you'll see we now have our discussions category. An important thing to notice when you're using categories in a weighted gradebook is to keep your final calculated grade sum at 100%. So when you look at the top level categories, you have a weight column. Assignments are 60, quizzes are 30, final exam is 10, and we've now added discussions at 15. Well, I would like to take those and make those part of assignments. So I need to go in and recalculate what that's going to be. So let me edit my category and drop that down to 45. Subtracting that 15, and now you don't get the error. So when using your categories in a weighted gradebook, keep an eye on your weighted total. Now let's pause for practice. Reviewing what we've gone over as far as the purposes for categories and purposes for gradebooks and what you've just practiced, complete the following tasks. Create 2 categories in your gradebook. List 2 different ways that you might want to categorize your gradebook, and list 2 reasons to implement categories in your grade plan. Continue on when you've done so. If you have any difficulty, please review this section of the video before moving on. Now let's continue in BlazeVIEW and explore grade item creation. In BlazeVIEW, there's 2 methods of grade item creation. One is direct creation in the gradebook, independent of an assessment. The other is creating or linking a grade item with an assessment. Let's look at both of these methods now. In our Manage Grades page that you get to from your gradebook, you'll notice your list of categories and grade items. Grade items that are linked to assessments will have that association listed alongside it under the association column. If you aren't sure what that links to, you can get additional information through the question mark icon. To create a new grade item independent of an assignment or a quiz, click New. Click Item. There are a number of grade item types. Most commonly, we will see numeric. So we'll create one like that. So my new item here, I want to create for a speech that's going to be given in class. I want to follow my naming convention rules. So I'm going to name it an identifiable name, speech. This is for topic 2. You'll see category here. This is going to tell you where you want this to be. My speeches are going to be an assignment, so I'm going to put them under the assignment tab. The weight's automatically there. I'm going to put a maximum point value of 50. It's not a bonus, so I don't check that. I'm not going to have bonus points, so I won't check that. One thing I want you to note, the restrictions tab. When you're creating a grade item, be careful of the restrictions tab. Some people tend to think that this is to hide or make the availability limited for the assessment itself, but it's not. When you're editing an item, it says item up here. This is showing how restricted the grade item in the gradebook is. The only time that you might use this, from my experience, is if you have an exam or assignment that goes over multiple days and you want to start grading them, but you don't want the students to see the grades until everyone is finished. In that case, you may want to hide from users until you're done. Or if you know you'll have it done on a certain date, you may want to limit that start date so that it doesn't show in the gradebook until everyone has submitted. Otherwise, I would leave that alone. Save and close. And you see, oh, there's an issue with consistency. Let's make that the same. Because this is not connected to an assignment or a quiz that you've created within BlazeVIEW, you'll have a dash here. These are good for when you are creating something that is going to be graded that's not inside of BlazeVIEW. For example, a speech or a participation grade or something that doesn't have a linked item that goes with it. If you want to create a grade item that has one way to do that is by creating the assignment and then creating the grade item within that. So let's go to Assessments and let's create a quiz. New quiz. And let's do Chapter 3 quiz. We want to create the grade item, so we'll go to the Assessment tab. Now when I look in here, there's not a Chapter 3 quiz grade item, so I need to add it. Remember our naming conventions. Chapter 3 quiz. That way this grade item is the same as the quiz itself. This is where your category matters. It's a quiz. I'm going to put it underneath the category with my other quizzes. Maximum points will be 10. My weight's automatically distributed, so it's calculated for me. I'm not going to have any bonus questions. And this is not a bonus quiz. My grade scheme, again, is default to the automatic one that we use in our organization. And remember, for grade items, I generally don't want to hide them. So we will save, and it populates the name of our grade item right here. I would like to have this quiz auto-graded and automatically exported. We'll save and close. And then when you go back to your grades, you'll see the Chapter 3 quiz has flowed in here. If you look at your Manage Grades again, you'll see it's linked to your quiz. So now the third way. I've decided that I want the students to turn in something as an artifact of the speech that they've given, so that I have some evidence when I'm grading. So I need to go back and create an assignment so that they can upload a file that contains their notes or some other item. Now remember that it's speech topic 2 and my max points are 50. So let me go to my assessments and assignments, create a new assignment, and it was speech topic 2, consistency. Once we've named it, we'll scroll down. Our score out of 50. Evaluation and feedback, this relates directly to our grade item. And speech topic 2. It already existed, so we're just linking them together. Save and close. Now if we go back to our gradebook and manage those grades, our previously unlinked assignment is now linked. Let's review. We've looked at 3 different ways to create or connect a grade item. So pause this video and practice working with your grade items. Continue when you've done so. If you've had any difficulty, please review this section of the video before moving forward. When creating the grade items, remember to consider the purpose for the grade item when you're choosing which method to use. Here's some examples for using each method. Now that we've explored how to create our gradebook and add categories and grade items, in our next video, we'll look at how to manage grades throughout the semester. Topics will include modifying grade items and categories, and applying special grading circumstances. Please contact the Center for eLearning if we can help you with anything we've covered in this video or for any other assistance as you develop your courses.